The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Galactic Council station, Kara thought, as she watched the small blue planet spin slowly below them. Earth was just one tiny world among countless others, but it had caused more trouble for the Council in the last 5 years than any other civilization in recent memory. Kara belonged to the Zinthari race. Tall, elegant beings with skin that shifted colors based on their emotions. Right now, her skin glowed a deep purple, showing her worry and frustration. She had been sent as the lead diplomat to deal with the humans, a job no one else wanted. Kate Walsh. The human representative walked into the observation room. Her short stature and plain appearance seemed so ordinary compared to the various alien species that filled the station. But Kara knew better than to underestimate her commander. Kate nodded with a slight smile. I hope the accommodations are suitable. Kara shifted her weight, her 7-foot frame towering over the human woman. Yes, though the gravity settings are still uncomfortable. Your species evolved on a heavy world. Kate laughed. The first time I visited the Palaxian homeworld, I nearly floated away. We all have our challenges. The human was being friendly, but Kara remained cautious. Humans had only discovered faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, practically newborns in galactic terms. Yet in that short time, they had already claimed 7 star systems, established trade routes with 26 alien civilizations, and survived 3 separate attempts to conquer them. The Council is concerned about human expansion. Kate Walsh. Kara said, her skin now shifting to a formal blue. Your people move too quickly. Take too many risks. You have claimed territories that other species have spent centuries studying. Kate raised an eyebrow. We only settle unclaimed worlds according to galactic law. The law states that worlds must be claimed through proper channels, with environmental impact studies and cultural assessments, Kara countered. Your people simply arrive, build colonies, and ask questions later. Kate moved to the window, looking down at Earth. It took my ancestors thousands of years to learn that waiting for perfect conditions means never acting at all. We don't have the luxury of time like the Zinthari or the Palaxians. Our lives are short, so we move quickly. This was the problem with humans, Kara thought. They lived such brief lives. Most humans barely reached 100 years. The Zinthari regularly lived for 800 years. The Palaxians over 1,000. The Drovans who led the Council could live for 3,000 years. Humans acted with urgency, because to them a decade was a significant portion of their lives. OIE, emergency beacon on Kara's wrist pulsed a warning. Something was happening. She tapped it and a holographic display appeared. The Drovan executor, Lorix, appeared, his ancient face. Grim diplomat Kara. We have a situation. 5 Morgathi battlecruisers have entered the Sol system. They are not responding to communication. They appear to be on attack trajectory. Kara felt her skin turn white with alarm. The Morgathi were one of the warrior races from the Outer Rim known for their brutality. The humans had recently opened trade with a rival faction, which must have angered them. Kate was already activating her own communication device, speaking rapidly into it in the human language. Kara could see the change in the human woman. Gone was the diplomatic smile, replaced by focused determination. Admiral Rodriguez, I need immediate defensive deployment. Pattern Omega-5. Morgathi battlecruisers incoming. Estimated time to engagement. Kate looked at Kara. 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Kara felt panic rising. How could the humans possibly mount a defense in such a short time? The Council would need days to debate a proper response strategy. Kate turned back to Kara. We need Council approval to activate our defensive grid in Council space. It was a formality. The humans needed permission to use their weapons in the space monitored by the Council. But Kara knew the Council would take hours to convene. I don't have the authority to grant that. Kate stared at her. The Morgathi will destroy half our orbital stations before your Council even begins their meeting. They targeted us because we trade with the Fakira. We all know that Kate was right. The Morgathi had been trying to isolate the Fakira for centuries. The humans were just the newest target. Kara made a decision that could end her diplomatic career. I will authorize defensive measures only on my personal authority. Relief flashed across Kate's face. Thank you, you've saved many lives today. Within minutes, Kara watched in amazement as hundreds of small Earth vessels deployed from the planet, and the orbital station's human ships were tiny compared to most galactic powers, but they moved with incredible speed and coordination. Kate stood beside her watching the tactical display. They will target our orbital habitats first. The Morgathi always go for civilian targets to break morale. She spoke with such certainty that Kara wondered how much the humans really knew about Morgathi tactics. The human defense was like nothing Kara had seen. Before, small vessels swarmed around the incoming Morgathi ships. Too small to be tracked by the larger weapon systems, they attached devices to the hulls of the enemy vessels, then retreated at maximum speed. What are they doing? Kara asked. EMP devices, Kate said. Electromagnetic pulse. The Morgathi shields block energy weapons but not electromagnetic radiation. It won't destroy their ships, just disable them temporarily. The tactic worked. 3 of the Morgathi vessels suddenly went dark, drifting in space. The other 2 changed course, heading directly for Earth. Now the real fleet arrives, Kate said with a grim smile. From behind Earth's moon emerged 3 large vessels. Unlike the smaller ships, these were heavily armed warships the size of Morgathi. Cruisers, but sleeker, faster. They engaged the remaining enemy ships with precision strikes targeting engines and weapon systems. In 20 minutes it was over. The Morgathi vessels were disabled, drifting in space. The human ships surrounded them, weapons ready. Kara stood shocked. The Council had always viewed humans as primitive, barely able to maintain their own fleet, yet they had disabled 5 Morgathi battlecruisers without destroying a single one. Kate turned to her. Now comes the hard part, diplomat Kara. We need to negotiate with the Morgathi before they send more ships, and the Council needs to recognize that ignoring the humans is no longer an option. Kara's skin shifted to a thoughtful green shade. The human was right. The Council had underestimated the species. For all their short lives and impulsive nature, humans were formidable. And if the Council didn't find a way to work with them, they might find themselves facing those small, fast ships themselves one day. 2 days after the Morgathi attack, Kara found herself in an unexpected situation. She was aboard the human flagship, Dauntless, traveling to the Morgathi homeworld. Her skin had been shifting between anxious yellow and diplomatic blue for hours. Kate Walsh sat across from her in the ship's conference room along with Admiral Susan Price, the commander of the human fleet. The Admiral was older than Kate, with gray hair and a face marked by experience. Her eyes missed nothing. You understand, the Council has not authorized this mission, Kara said for perhaps the 10th time. Admiral Price nodded. The Council has been debating authorization for 36 hours, while 5 more Morgathi battle groups have mobilized. We don't have time for debate. This was the fundamental difference between humans and the rest of the galactic community. Kara realized humans acted while others deliberated. The Council considered all angles, all possible outcomes, all historical precedents. Humans simply solved problems, should reach Morgath in 6 hours. Kate said she looked calm, but Kara could see the tension in her posture. If we can meet with Warlord Krev, we might be able to negotiate a ceasefire before this becomes a full-scale war. Warlord Krev does not negotiate with lesser species, Kara reminded them. The Morgathi consider themselves superior to all others, especially short-lived races like humans. Admiral Price smiled, a gesture Kara had learned could mean many things with humans. Sometimes our greatest weakness is actually our strength, diplomat Kara. The Morgathi think our short lives make us weak. What they fail to understand is that it makes us determined. Kara watched as the humans prepared for the diplomatic mission. Unlike Council diplomats who would spend weeks researching historical precedents and proper protocols, the humans focused on practical matters. Kate and a small team studied Morgathi customs, but also prepared multiple contingency plans. If negotiation fails, Admiral Price told her, team, we move to Plan B. The Dauntless remains in orbit with weapons powered down but targeting systems locked. If we don't return in 3 hours, you deploy the special package. Kara felt her skin flash red with alarm. What special package? The Admiral and Kate exchanged looks. Then Kate spoke. We have developed a device that can disrupt Morgathi communication systems across their entire planet. It would effectively isolate their military command structure for approximately 12 hours. That is, an act of war. Kara protested. Only if we use it, Kate said calmly. It's simply our insurance policy. When they reached Morgathi space, Kara was surprised by the lack of resistance. The Morgathi allowed their ship to approach and even granted permission to land at the capital city. This was unusual for the warrior race. The reason became clear when they were escorted to the warlord's palace. A Drovan counselor was already there. Counselor Vez, one of the most conservative members of the Galactic Council. His ancient face showed disapproval when he saw Kara with the human's diplomat. Kara, he said coldly, you have exceeded your authority. The Council did not approve this human mission. Kara felt her skin darken with embarrassment. But Kate stepped forward. Before she could respond, Counselor Vez, the attack on Earth occurred in Council space under Council protection, yet no Council ships came to our defense. We are here to resolve the situation ourselves, not wait for bureaucracy. The Morgathi warlord. Krev entered the chamber, a massive figure covered in chitinous armor with 4 arms each ending in clawed hands. His yellow eyes surveyed the group with obvious disdain. So these are the humans. He growled, his translator making his deep voice even. More menacing, small, soft creatures. Yet you disabled 5 of my best ships. I wanted to see what makes such weak beings so troublesome. Kate stood her ground, looking up at the massive alien who towered over even Kara. I am diplomat, Kate Walsh, representing Earth and human colonies. We came to discuss the unprovoked attack on our world and find a peaceful resolution. The warlord laughed a harsh sound. Your trade with the Fakira threatens Morgathi interests. There is your provocation. The Fakira are not under Morgathi control, Kate countered. They are an independent species who chose to trade with us. This female speaks boldly for one so fragile, Krev said, addressing Counselor Vez. Do all humans lack proper respect for superior beings? Admiral Price stepped forward. We respect strength, Warlord Krev, but we define it differently than the Morgathi. Strength isn't always about size or lifespan. Sometimes it's about adaptability, ingenuity, and determination. The warlord seemed amused. You disabled my ships with primitive technology. A temporary victory. The Morgathi Empire spans 42 worlds. We have conquered species far more advanced than humans. Kate nodded. We know your history, Warlord. But perhaps you should know ours as well. In the short time we have been in space, we have survived 3 extinction-level attempts against our world. We've developed technologies that races with 10 times our lifespan. Haven't considered. And we learn from every encounter, Counselor Vez interrupted. This is not a sanctioned negotiation. The Council has protocols for such disputes. Both Kate and the Warlord ignored him. Your species is new to the galactic stage, Krev said. You have not earned your place, Kate smiled. That is where we disagree. Warlord Krev. We don't believe places are earned through age or military might, but through actions. We came here to offer a choice. Continue hostilities against Earth, and we will respond with all our capability, or recognize our right to trade with any willing species, and we can find ways to cooperate that benefit both our peoples. The audacity of the human impressed Kara. No diplomat would dare speak to a Morgathi warlord this way. Yet Kate showed no fear standing before a creature who could kill her. With one swipe of his clawed hand, the warlord leaned forward, studying Kate with his yellow eyes. You threaten me, human. What could your kind possibly do to the Morgathi Empire? Kate maintained eye contact, a sign of challenge in Morgathi culture. We could share our technology with the Fakira. We could establish defense pacts with the 17 worlds along your borders that fear Morgathi expansion. We could deploy our EMP technology to every ship in your fleet, rendering them temporarily disabled. In the event of conflict, or Kara was surprised to hear herself speak, we could establish trade agreements between humans and Morgathi, allowing both to prosper. All eyes turned to her, including the warlords. The humans have unusual resources and methods. Warlord Krev. Their short lives have made them innovative. Perhaps there are benefits to cooperation that exceed those of conflict. Counselor Vez seemed outraged. Diplomat Kara, you forget your place. The council does not recognize this negotiation. Kate ignored the interruption. The Zinthari diplomat speaks wisely. Warlord, we offer prosperity through cooperation or significant difficulties through conflict. The choice is yours. The warlord was silent for a long moment, then let out a sound that might have been laughter. Interesting, you come to my world outnumbered, outgunned, and offer me choices as if you hold the advantage. I begin to see why the council fears human expansion. Fears? Kate asked. Counselor Vez shifted uncomfortably. The council merely wishes to ensure proper protocols are followed. The warlord looked at Kate. All new species are monitored carefully, but humans have caused more concern than any race in recent memory. You move too quickly, adapt too rapidly, form alliances too easily. The old races fear what you might become. Kara realized the warlord was right. The council did fear humans, not because they were primitive, but because they were unpredictable. Changing, evolving faster than the council could respond. I will consider. Your words, human. Krev finally said the attack on your world was a test to assess your capabilities. You have proven more resourceful than expected. A formal response to your proposal will follow through official channels. It wasn't a resolution, but it was progress, far more than Kara had expected. Kate thanked the warlord with proper Morgathi gestures, showing she had indeed studied their customs. As they left the palace, Counselor Vez confronted Kara. This unauthorized action will be reported to the full council. You have overstepped. Diplomat Kara felt her skin shift to resolute purple. I acted to prevent war, Counselor. When the council finally decided to act, it would have been too late. The humans have shown us a different approach, perhaps one we should consider. For the first time since meeting humans, Kara wondered if perhaps their short lives and urgent actions were not flaws, but advantages in a galaxy that moved too slowly for its own good. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with representatives from over 200 species when Kara entered, a rare full gathering that showed just how seriously the council was taking the human situation. Her skin had settled into a calm blue, though she felt anything but calm. At the center of the chamber, Kate Walsh stood alone. The human looked small among the various alien representatives, many of whom towered over her physical stature. But Kara had learned that with humans, physical size revealed little about capability. Grand Counselor Lomax, the eldest of the Drovans, spoke, his voice carrying across the chamber without technological assistance. Diplomat Kate Walsh, you have been summoned to explain human actions in the Morgathi incident. Your species bypassed council authority, endangered galactic peace, and engaged in unauthorized negotiations with a hostile power. How do you respond? Kate looked up at the ancient being without a trace of intimidation. The facts speak for themselves. Grand Counselor Earth was attacked in council space. The council failed to respond in time to protect us. We took necessary action to prevent further bloodshed and succeeded in opening diplomatic channels. With the Morgathi, murmurs spread through the chamber. Some representatives seemed outraged by her directness, others impressed. Kara noticed the Fakira representatives, tall, slender beings with forearms nodding in agreement. Counselor Vez stood. Humans demonstrate exactly why new species must be guided slowly into galactic society. They are impulsive, reckless. Their actions at Morgath could have triggered a war that would affect dozens of worlds. Kate responded calmly, with respect. Counselor, the war had already begun when Morgathi ships entered our system. The only question was whether it would escalate or be resolved. Each hour the council debated was another hour for the Morgathi to send reinforcements. Another counselor, a Palaxian, named Shur, spoke. Diplomat Walsh makes a valid point. The council's response protocols were designed in an era of slower communication and travel. Perhaps they require updating for modern conditions. The debate continued for hours, various representatives arguing for stricter oversight of humans, while others suggested the humans had prevented a larger conflict. Kara watched Kate carefully, noting how the human diplomat listened to each speaker assess their position and responded with facts rather than emotion. Finally, Grand Counselor Lomax called on Kara Diplomat. Kara, you were present during both the initial attack and the unauthorized mission to Morgath. The Council would hear your assessment. Kara rose, her skin shifting to formal blue as she addressed the assembly. I have spent the past standard year studying humans and their integration into galactic society. My conclusions may surprise some of you. She paused, looking around the chamber. The humans are not like us. Their short lives give them a different perspective on time and action. Where we might deliberate for years, they act in days. Their biological imperative compels them to solve problems quickly because they have limited time, a trait we have mistaken for recklessness. Many representatives shifted uncomfortably. At her words, Kara continued, in the Morgathi incident, I witnessed humans deploy tactics that disabled enemy vessels without destruction, showing restraint, where many established species would have responded with full military force. Their diplomatic approach, while unconventional, achieved in hours what Council protocols would have required months to accomplish. Counselor Vez interrupted. They violated procedure that cannot be overlooked. Kara turned to him. Yes, but perhaps the procedure itself is flawed. A system that cannot respond to threats in real time puts all our worlds at risk, not just human colonies. The Morgathi knew this. They chose to attack Earth precisely because they believed the Council response would be too slow. Kate spoke. Again, we understand the importance of Council protocols and tradition. We respect the wisdom gathered over millennia, but wisdom must adapt to new circumstances. Earth requests full membership in the Council, with all rights and responsibilities. That includes the right to defend ourselves and negotiate on our own behalf when immediate action is required. The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives shouted that humans were too young a species for full membership. Others argued that human innovation could benefit the Council. After hours of debate, Grand Counselor Lomax called for silence. The Council will deliberate on Earth's request, but first we must address the immediate matter. Does the Council censure human actions in the Morgathi incident? The vote was close, but in the end the Council ruled that while procedural violations had occurred, the outcome justified the means. The humans would not be censured. Kara felt relief wash through her skin, turning it a pleased green. Shade Kate caught her eye across the chamber and gave a small nod of thanks. The Council session concluded without resolving the larger question of human membership. A committee was formed to study the issue, a typical Council response to difficult questions. Kara found Kate in one of the station's observation lounges later that day. The human stood looking out at the stars, her posture showing fatigue from the long session. You spoke well on our behalf, Kate said when Kara joined her. I didn't expect support from a Council diplomat. Kara let her skin shift to honest purple. I spoke the truth. The Council system has existed for thousands of years, but the galaxy is changing. Faster ships, instant communication, new threats. The old ways may not serve us anymore, Kate smiled. And humans are the catalyst for that change, whether the Council likes it or not. Precisely, Kara said. That is what frightens many representatives. Humans force us to adapt to change. You know the Morgathi have opened trade negotiations with us, Kate said unexpectedly. They were impressed by our approach. Direct, honest, willing to show strength but also restraint. This news surprised Kara. The Morgathi rarely engaged with younger species except through conquest. What changed their minds? Kate laughed softly. Something Warlord Krev said after you left the chamber. He told me the Morgathi respect beings who stand their ground, not just physically, but diplomatically. He called humans interesting, a high compliment from a Morgathi. The diplomatic lounge doors opened and a new figure entered. Kara recognized the Fakira ambassador Talon, her forearms adorned with the traditional jewelry of her people. Her skin was pale blue with intricate patterns that showed her high status. Ambassador Talon approached them, bowing slightly in the human-style Ambassador Walsh diplomat Kara. I hope to find you both. The Fakira have a proposal. Kate Walsh. Talon said, we wish to form a new alliance, one that includes humans, Zinthari, and other like-minded species, a coalition that can act more quickly than the full council when necessary. Kara felt alarm. Her skin flashed warning yellow. Such an alliance might be seen as challenging. Council authority. Ambassador, Talon continued. The galaxy grows more complex, more dangerous. Old enemies like the Void Dwellers stir at the edges of known space. The Council debates while threats multiply. We need a more responsive structure. Kate looked thoughtful, not to replace the Council, but to complement it. A rapid response group that can act when immediate action is required. Then report to the Council. Exactly. Talon said, several species have expressed interest. The Palaxians, the Norva, even some Drovan colonies. The Council moves too slowly in times of crisis. As the humans proved with the Morgothi, Kara considered the implications. Such a coalition would dramatically change galactic politics. But perhaps that change was inevitable. The arrival of humans had already begun shifting the balance of power. Their adaptability, their willingness to engage with species the Council had long isolated, their technological innovation. All were creating ripples throughout galactic society. What role do you see for the Zinthari? Kara asked carefully. Talon turned all four eyes to her. Your people bridge the gap between the ancient races and the emerging ones. You understand tradition but also recognize the need for adaptation. You would be vital members. Kara knew she should report this conversation to the Council immediately. Such an alliance could be seen as divisive, yet she also recognized the truth in Talon's words. The Council system was showing its age. Its inability to respond quickly to threats put all worlds at risk. I would need to consult with my government, Kara said diplomatically. Of course, Talon replied, we seek partners, not followers. Each species must decide its own path. Kate had been quiet, listening to the exchange. Now she spoke. What would you call this coalition? Talon made a gesture with her upper arms that indicated possibility. The coalition of adaptive species, perhaps, or simply the alliance. The name matters less than the purpose: to protect, to respond, to build cooperation across boundaries the Council has maintained. For too long, after Talon left, Kate turned to Kara. What do you think? Will the Zinthari join? Kara let her skin show her uncertainty. A swirl of colors before settling into thoughtful green. I don't know. Our people value stability, tradition. But we also value survival. The galaxy is changing faster than the Council can adapt. Perhaps it is time for new approaches. Kate smiled again. Something I've noticed about the universe, diplomat. Kara, change happens whether we choose it or not. The only real choice is whether we shape that change or are shaped by it. Looking at the human diplomat, Kara wondered if perhaps that was the most important lesson humans had brought to galactic society. Not just their technology or their tactics, but their perspective. That change was inevitable and could be harnessed rather than feared. 6 months after the Morgothi incident, the alliance had grown from an idea to reality. 17 species had joined, including the Zinthari. After much internal debate, Kara had been appointed as liaison between the Alliance and the Council, a position that kept her skin constantly shifting between diplomatic blue and stressed orange. The Alliance headquarters orbited a neutron star in neutral space, a practical location with natural radiation shielding and equal distance from all member worlds. The station itself was primarily of human design, built-in modules that could be expanded as needed. Another example of human adaptability, Kara walked through the command center where representatives from all member species worked together. Their different physiologies required various accommodations. Special chairs for the four-legged Norva, atmosphere controls for the methane-breathing Takans. But somehow it all functioned smoothly. Kate Walsh now held the title of Alliance Coordinator. She waved Kara over to a holographic display showing the borders of known space. The human looked tired but focused. We have a situation, Kate said without preamble. 3 Void Dweller ships have been detected near the Palaxian colony of Nexus. Kara felt her skin pale. The Void Dwellers were ancient enemies of all oxygen-breathing life. They had been dormant for centuries, hiding in the darkness between galaxies. Now they were returning. The Council must be informed, Kara said, Already done. Kate replied, but you know how they will respond. Study the threat, analyze historical encounters. Form a committee. She was right. The council would take weeks to decide on action. By then, the Palaxian colony could be destroyed. The Void Dwellers were known for their brutality, consuming all organic matter on planets they conquered. What is the Alliance response? Kara asked. Kate gestured to another display showing ship movements. We are deploying a joint fleet. The humans are providing 10 vessels. The Zinthari 6, the Fakira 8, and several other species contributing smaller numbers. The Palaxians have evacuated critical personnel, but 5 million colonists remain. They can't all be moved in time. Admiral Susan Price entered the command center, now wearing the new Alliance uniform. She nodded to Kara before addressing Kate. The fleet will reach Nexus in 14 hours. The Void Dwellers approximately 20. The window is narrow. Kate turned to Kara. The Council has issued a caution against Alliance military action without prior approval. Kara wasn't surprised. The Council saw the Alliance as a potential rival, though many Council members had quietly supported its formation. Others, like Councillor Vez, viewed it with suspicion. 5 million lives are at stake. Kara said the Council cannot respond in time. They know this. Kate nodded. The Alliance Charter allows for defensive operations when immediate threats are identified. We are proceeding under that provision. Admiral Price pointed to another display. This will be the first major test of our joint operations. Various species, different technologies, command, structures, ship designs, all must work together seamlessly. The following day, Kara joined Kate and the Alliance command staff. As they monitored the situation at Nexus, the fleet had arrived and taken defensive positions around the colony world. The Void Dweller ships had slowed their approach, maintaining distance. They are assessing our defenses. Admiral Price said, their ships are organic technology that learns and adapts. They will probe for weaknesses. Kara watched the tactical displays, fascinated by the cooperation between species that historically had barely communicated. The Alliance fleet moved with coordinated precision, ships taking positions that maximized their individual strengths. The rapid information sharing, the joint command structure, all showed efficiency. The Council could never match. One of the Void Dweller ships launched smaller craft, hundreds of them heading toward the Alliance fleet cedar pods. Admiral Price said, they will attempt to attach to our ships and penetrate the hulls. Kate turned to the communications officer. Implement defense pattern, Echo 7. The Alliance fleet responded. Instantly, smaller vessels moved to intercept the cedar pods, while larger ships created an energy field that slowed the organic projectiles. Fakira ships with their advanced targeting systems destroyed dozens of pods. Zinthari vessels deployed countermeasures that confused the pods' organic guidance systems. Human ships used their speed and maneuverability to draw pods away from vulnerable craft. It was impressive coordination between species that until recently had barely interacted. The Alliance forces repelled the first wave with minimal damage. The main Void Dweller ships are moving, Admiral Price reported. They are attempting to flank our position. Kate studied the display, then turned to the alien representatives in the command center. This is where we implement the combined strategy we discussed. The Norva and Takans will move to cut off their retreat path. The Zinthari and Fakira will hold the center. The human ships will engage directly. Kara was surprised. The human ships were smaller than many others. Why risk them in direct engagement? Admiral Price answered her unspoken question. Our vessels are more maneuverable, and our crews can withstand higher G-forces than most Alliance species. We can engage closer, make faster course changes. The Void Dwellers won't expect it. The battle unfolded over several hours. The Void Dwellers clearly hadn't anticipated such coordinated resistance from multiple species. Their tactics seemed designed for the slower, methodical responses, typical of Council forces. The Alliance fleet surrounded the Void Dweller ships, cutting off escape routes. Kate ordered a final warning, sent demanding surrender. They won't surrender. Admiral Price said, they never have. Kate nodded grimly. Then we make Sure, they can never threaten Nexus again. The combined firepower of the Alliance fleet focused on the Void Dweller ships. Their organic hulls absorbed incredible damage, but even they had limits. One by one, the massive vessels were disabled there, biological systems overloaded. When it was over, the Alliance had lost 11 ships with several others damaged, but Nexus colony was safe. The Void Dweller threat neutralized, at least temporarily, in the aftermath. Kara found Kate in her office reviewing casualty reports. The human looked exhausted. You should rest. Kara said, her skin showing concern. Kate looked up. We lost 28 crew members. Another 63 injured. Most will recover. But her voice trailed off. In council terms, that's an acceptable loss ratio, Kara said. For protecting 5 million colonists, Kate frowned. Every loss is unacceptable but necessary sometimes. We knew the risks when we formed the Alliance. A communication alert sounded. Kate activated the display. Councillor Vez appeared, his ancient face showing disapproval. The Council has convened an emergency session regarding Alliance military action at Nexus. He said formally, "You have violated Council directives on engagement with Void Dwellers. All Alliance representatives are summoned to appear." Kate responded calmly. The Alliance acted under our charter to protect member worlds. The Council response time would have resulted in millions of deaths. We will present full documentation of our actions and reasoning after. The communication ended. Kate sighed. That was expected. The Council fears what we are becoming. What are we becoming? Kara asked, her skin shifting to contemplative green. Kate stood walking to the viewport that showed the neutron star pulsing in the distance. Something new. Kara, a different approach to galactic cooperation. One based on action rather than deliberation, on shared responsibility rather than hierarchical authority. The Council has maintained peace for thousands of years through control. The Alliance seeks peace through cooperation. 3 days later, the Alliance representatives stood before the full Council. The chamber was tense. Many councillors clearly disturbed by the Alliance actions at Nexus Grand. Councillor Lomax spoke. The Alliance engaged in unauthorized military action against the Void Dwellers. This council had explicit protocols for Void Dweller encounters. Kate stepped forward. We followed Alliance protocols which prioritize the immediate protection of sentient life. The council protocols would have required minimum evacuation time of 40 days. The colony had less than 20 hours. Councillor Vez interrupted. This is precisely why the Alliance threatens galactic stability. You act without proper consideration of consequences. The Void Dwellers may now accelerate their return, seeking revenge. Admiral Price, who stood with the human delegation, spoke. The Void Dwellers were already returning, Councillor. Our intelligence suggests they have been preparing for decades. The encounter at Nexus was not an isolated incident but the beginning of a larger invasion. This statement caused commotion among the Council representatives. Many species had believed the Void Dweller threat was distant theoretical. The idea of imminent invasion was disturbing. Kara moved forward, her skin resolute purple. The Alliance acted to protect lives when immediate action was required. That is its purpose. Not to replace the Council, but to address threats that cannot wait for Council deliberation. The evidence from Nexus confirms the Void Dwellers have evolved new tactics, new technologies. They are adapting. We must adapt as well. Grand Councillor Lomax studied the Alliance representatives for a long moment. Then he surprised everyone. The Council acknowledges the Alliance action at Nexus saved many lives. While procedural concerns remain, the outcome validates the core mission of your organization. The Council proposes formal recognition of the Alliance as a rapid response force operating with Council approval. 1 year after the Battle of Nexus, the galactic landscape had transformed. The Void Dwellers had launched a full invasion, just as Admiral Price predicted, attacking dozens of worlds across multiple sectors. The Alliance had grown to include 34 species, with even traditional Council supporters joining for protection. Many of the oldest races still resisted change, but the threat of extinction was a powerful motivator. Kara stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Harmony, a massive vessel built through combined technology of 12 different species. Her role had evolved from diplomat to strategic advisor, a position that utilized her understanding of both council traditions and alliance innovations. Her skin had settled into a permanent blend of colors reflecting her new identity, neither purely Zinthari, nor fully aligned with human approaches, but something unique. Kate Walsh entered the bridge now wearing the formal uniform of Alliance High Commander, a position created. By unanimous vote of the Alliance Council, Kate had protested, arguing others were better qualified, but every member species had insisted the humans had catalyzed the Alliance. It seemed fitting that a human should lead it. The latest reports from the front lines, Kate said, Void Dweller forces have been pushed back from the Norva homeworld. Casualties were high, but the defense-held Kara studied the tactical display. The combined fleet had performed well. 3 more Void Dweller hive ships destroyed. That makes 17 since the war began. Kate nodded. But they keep coming. Our intelligence suggests there may be hundreds more in dark space between the galaxies. They evolve, adapt, change tactics. We need something more than conventional victory, Kara. Understood. The war of attrition favored the Void Dwellers. They could replace losses faster than the Alliance, even with 34 species contributing forces. The combined fleet was winning battles but potentially losing the war. The Council has finally acknowledged the full threat, Kate continued. After 2 years of debate, they are committing their reserved forces to Alliance command. This was significant news. The Council maintained secret defenses technologies developed over thousands of years but never deployed. Some said they included weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Others claimed they could create pocket dimensions, trapping enemies in alternate realities. The truth was known only to the oldest counselors. Need to end this war, Kate said, her voice tired. They have studied the Void Dwellers for millennia. They must know their weaknesses. Kara let her skin show agreement. We need access to the ancestral archives. The oldest records, from the first Void Dweller, war 20,000 years ago. Kate looked surprised. I thought those were restricted. Even most council members can't access them. They are, Kara admitted. But I have been communicating with someone who might help us. Councillor Lomax is one of the few with direct access, and he has grown to respect the Alliance. 2 days later, Kara and Kate stood in the most secure section of the Council headquarters, the Ancestral Archives. A vast chamber filled with data storage systems, so old they used crystal matrices instead of quantum networks. Councillor Lomax himself guided them, his ancient face solemn. What I show you has been viewed by only 7 living beings in the past 5,000 years, he said, the complete records of the First Void War, including knowledge deemed too dangerous for general access. Kate exchanged glances with Kara. This could be the breakthrough they needed. The records are not just data, Lomax explained. They contain the stored consciousness of those who fought in the original conflict. His gnarled hand passed over a crystal panel, activating a holographic interface. A figure appeared in the center of the chamber. A female being of a species Kara didn't recognize. Tall, with 4 eyes and scaled skin. Her image flickered with age. I am Grand Admiral Selena of the First Alliance, she said, her voice echoing strangely. Our war against the Void lasted 162 years. We lost billions before we understood what we faced. Kate stepped forward, amazed. What are the Void Dwellers? What do they want? The hologram seemed to focus on Kate. The Void Dwellers are not a species as you understand the term. They are a collective consciousness that exists within organic vessels. Their goal is not conquest, but consumption. They seek to absorb all sentient life into their collective. The ships you fight are merely extensions of a vastly larger entity that exists in the space between galaxies. This was new information. The Alliance had been fighting what they thought was an invading species. But if the Void Dwellers were actually a single entity that changed everything, how did you defeat them? Kara asked. The holographic admiral looked grim. We discovered their true nature. Their ships share a quantum link to the central consciousness. Without that link, they cannot function. We created a quantum resonance wave that severed the connection. It took decades to develop the technology, but once deployed, it ended the war in days. Counselor Lomax spoke. The technology was deemed too dangerous by the early council. It could potentially be used against any telepathically linked species, not just void dwellers. So it was sealed away. Kate looked at the ancient counselor. But you show us now. Lomax nodded slowly. The situation has changed. The void threat is greater than before. Their evolution has accelerated, perhaps because of contact with humans. He looked directly at Kate. Your species' adaptability appears to have influenced them. They are learning faster, evolving more quickly. The old prohibitions must be reconsidered over the next weeks. Kara worked with the finest scientific minds from across the Alliance. The quantum resonance technology from the archives was far beyond current understanding, but with 34 species contributing knowledge, they made progress. The human scientists proved particularly valuable. Their fresh perspective, unconstrained by traditional galactic thinking, led to several breakthroughs. Kate managed the broader war effort, keeping the void dwellers contained while the research continued. The Alliance fleet had grown enormous, with ships from every member species fighting side by side. Tactics evolved, shared across cultural boundaries. Technologies merged, creating defenses more effective than any single species could develop. On the eve of the planned deployment of the quantum resonance wave, Kate found Kara in the observation deck of the Harmony. The Zinthari diplomat was watching the combined fleet preparing for what they hoped would be the final battle. Her skin shifting through thoughtful patterns of blue and green. Tomorrow everything changes, Kate said. Joining her for better or worse, Kara agreed. The quantum resonance wave will sever all telepathic connections within its range that will disable the void dweller ships but also affect telepathic species within the Alliance. Kate nodded. The Norva and Palaxians have voluntarily withdrawn their telepaths from the battle zone, a sacrifice they make willingly. We will limit the wave to essential territories. Kara turned to her friend. This began with one human diplomat standing her ground against Morgathi battlecruisers. Now we stand together. 34 species united against extinction. How did we come so far so quickly? Kate smiled. You know the answer. Kara, necessity, adaptation. When faced with extinction, species will set aside ancient rivalries, overcome cultural barriers, find common ground. The void dwellers forced us to become better than we. We're better together, Kara said, her skin showing the purple of conviction. The next day, Kara stood on the bridge of the Harmony as the combined fleet moved into position. The quantum resonance wave generators had been installed on 17 key vessels, positioned throughout Alliance space. All would activate simultaneously, creating a wavefront that would spread across known space. Kate addressed the fleet, her image transmitted to every ship. Every species in this alliance has contributed to this moment, some with technology, others with courage and sacrifice. Today we face not just the survival of our individual worlds, but the future of all sentient life in this galaxy. I am proud to stand with you all. The countdown began. Alliance vessels moved to defensive positions around the generator ships. The void dwellers sensed something was happening. Their hive ships converged, attempting to stop what they could not understand. Kara watched the tactical display as the battle unfolded, the Alliance fleet protecting the generator ships. The void dwellers pressing their attack with increasing desperation. 3, 2, 1. The generators activated. A wave of energy, invisible but detectable on quantum instruments, spread outward at faster than light speed. Where it passed, void dweller ships suddenly stopped responding, drifting dead in space. The organic vessels that had seemed so threatening now inert. On the main viewer they watched as the wave expanded. Sensors showed the quantum connections that linked the void collective being severed one by one. The hive mind that had threatened all life fragmenting into disconnected pieces, it worked, Kate said, wonder in her voice. Kara let her skin display jubilation, bright yellows and pinks. It worked, because we worked together. The knowledge of the ancients, the innovation of the young, the courage of all, the celebration across Alliance worlds lasted for days. Species that had barely acknowledged each other now united in victory. The Council, formally, recognized the Alliance as a permanent institution, essential to galactic security. 1 month after the victory, Kara and Kate stood in the new Alliance headquarters. On the walls, representatives from all 34 member species had placed symbols of their worlds, a physical representation of their unity.